Welcome back everybody to the Nomad Hedge. In today's video, it's all about the US dollar. We're going to be taking a look at the dollar futures, and we're starting off here by taking a look at the monthly chart, and then we'll trickle down to the weekly and the daily just to give you a perspective. So if you haven't already, consider liking and subscribing. And let's get into the video. So this is the historical big picture view of the US dollar. You can see here that we have potentially completed a 5 waves move up here. We're also observing right here the trend line, which is at a critical stage as we speak. And we're going to try to explain which levels are important to watch here, and if we continue to see the dollar moving lower. So if you take a look at the most recent move here, we can see that we are in a zigzag ABC correction. Okay, so either this is going to extend itself, or it could actually find support at this area right here, and we could see this correction already bottoming out and conclude. We have a few levels to watch here. We're going to start off by taking a look at this POC line here. So the POC line as a magnet for where there's a lot of demand, where a lot of the buying at a certain price happened, right? So we're looking specifically at this area here at 97.3, and so that's where the dollar has found buyers most of the time. Okay, so we're looking at this area here, but we also want to understand, why did the dollar find resistance right here at this trend line? Well, if you take a look at back in history, all the way back to 1985, and you draw a trend line here, you can see that it's not a big surprise that after the second attempt, that's when we saw some distribution right at this area. So that's the historical context. So right now, we're going to try to figure out if there's still more downside here, or if we're actually bottoming out. So let's move on and take a look at how the dollar looks on a weekly chart. And we can see here more clearly that a breakdown of this POC line is already happening. Okay. And one thing that you have to remember is that when we look at an ABC correction, it typically ends at the equal length of wave A, right? So we want wave C to equal wave A. And the way we measure that is with an extension, right? So we have wave A, B, and then the 100% extension arrives right here at around 94.450. So that means that the US dollar, the dollar futures, still has more downside move here, potentially, to finish off this correction, right? So we can continue to move down here to complete wave C, and then from this level we could also bottom out and resume higher. When we look at this correction here, we're also looking at certain moving averages that play a key role, right? So we call this the last moving average, specifically for DXY. So it's this line right here, and it also coincides with the 100% extension. So maybe the dollar wants to gravitate towards this level before finding support and then catches an upside bid. So what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that if we're starting to break down this 100% extension, we are then looking forward down, right? So we have some levels here of interest. Obviously, we do have the 0.618, and if we zoom out here, the 0.618 is basically from the lows here and from the highs, and then we're looking then for the dollar, if it breaks the 100% extension, to actually extend this wave C and land right here at the 0.618 should we fail the 100% 94.5, around that level. And that's typically where the correction of ABC concludes as well, right at wave 4, the prior wave 4. That's typically where you find the conclusion of a correction. So that is why there's a potential here for the dollar to move even lower, and we're looking for at a dollar level 87.88. Okay, so if this trend line here breaks down and even below this 100% extension, we're looking at around this area here for potential support. Okay, so where are we currently right now? Well, if we take a look at the daily chart, we have been observing some auctions at around this level here. Okay, so we found an auction right here at 96, 97. And the dollar has been gravitating towards it. It closed that auction, and there's also an auction here at around 96. So it looks as if the dollar wants to close this auction. And just like the big ABC correction we saw on the monthly, there's also a correction, an ABC correction potentially playing out right here. And so this is basically the critical level we want to watch, because if we're starting to find support here, right at this auction, as well as this 100% extension, that means we're not breaking the prior lows here, and the dollar could actually begin to find an upside bid and buyers right at this level. Now notice also how oversold the dollar is, and last time it was this oversold, that's when it started to move up higher as well. And so this is why we're going to watch this level very carefully here at 96.4, 96.3, and that's our risk basically. If we're starting to break below the prior lows here, then it sets the stage then for us to move towards this larger 100% extension, right? We looked at the monthly chart and we looked at this ABC correction, and so that correction should then conclude at 94.5 approximately. If we're starting to fail this level as well, then it sets the stage basically for that 0.618 that we saw on the monthly, where wave 4 concludes, right? So it's this level here. But I think that's a little bit far-fetched, but if you take a look at this trend line here, it looks as if the dollar wants to break it, okay? I would say watch out for this trend line here and look for these levels that I mentioned right here at around 94. And if we're breaking below this 94.5, then look for a huge drawdown. I mean, a very huge drawdown to around 87, 87.7, 88. And so that's where you want to potentially see the dollar going if we're starting to break below these levels here. And so one level at a time. We'll look at this on the daily again, just to repeat. And so we're starting to fail this 96.4 alongside breaking below this low here. Then we can anticipate a larger move here to this 100% extension, okay? And also watch for positive divergences if we're going to continue to see an upside bid here for the dollar, all right? So in the end, should the dollar continue to move lower, then obviously it should also favor risk assets, right? So we could be seeing a continuation of this bull market. On the other side, if we're beginning to see an upside bid here for the dollar, then we could continue to see distributions in the markets, and that could obviously create conditions there for an alternative hedge where people just piling into the dollar as safe haven, right? So that is why I think we've reached levels here of critical awareness. So that was just it with this video. I thought it was interesting to look at the dollar specifically at this area here. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, you can follow me on X for more updates, and I'll keep you guys updated. So take care for now and have a great rest of your day.